Good morning, friends. I'm Sean O'Shea. I'll be broadcasting this or debuting this tomorrow morning, Sunday, July 26th, for my dear friends at Christ Unity Church in Chattanooga. It's such a treat to get to be with you all and not have to make the 2+ hour drive down there and back and face that Eastern Standard Time change that sometimes I forget about and run into trouble. So I just wanted to take a moment to introduce myself and kind of lay the groundwork a little bit here about what this online experience is going to be like. Number one, you're at my home. I'm dressed casually quite intentionally because I've invited you here. And so I wanted to dress exactly the way I would be dressed on a Sunday morning, uh, where I'm not leaving the home anyway, or working somewhere at a big speaking event or concert or what have you, or in the corporate world for that matter. So you're here at my home, and it's not going to be perfect. A hummingbird will visit from time to time right here, about 6 feet to my right, and they will come and go, and you may hear them buzzing by. You may have a horsefly or two come zipping by. You may have a dog bark. You may have a big bull right over here uh, yell at me if you want some attention. That's right here at the fence line. We live in paradise here, and I'll tell you more about that when we come back. But I wanted to let you know that it is a treat to be with you. This is going to be a very casual and heartfelt thing, and completely 100% unscripted, with the exception of one little piece of music that I recorded yesterday, knowing that I wanted to have some music bring us into meditation. So let's go there right now and listen to this beautiful music by my friend Jack Fowler. It gets centered in a place and ready for meditation.
In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait in this precious moment when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God, and I find myself. In the silence there is peace. In the silence there is unspoken joy. In the silence there's release from a world full of chaos and noise. So I wait in this holy moment when I hear all that could never be said, and right here in this holy silence I find God. I find God, and I find myself.
And so with that knowing, I invite you to just take a deep breath. And allow yourself to be here now. Just take this time for you and our Creator and each other to connect. Despite the miles, despite any differences or perceived differences, we are one. We are love. We are each a whole and perfect child of God, even when there are illusions that suggest something to the contrary. At the end of the day, God has our backs. If we could just live with that level of fearlessness in every moment, our lives would be so much more peaceful. So right here and right now, I suggest we each internally set that intention that we are going to release control of every single outcome, every single how we're going to get there, and just know that we will be guided. We'll do our share. We'll set our intentions. We'll do our part of the work. But we will be guided and protected and led to the highest, best outcome for each of us. For that, we are grateful, and we utter the three-word prayer that God loves the most. Thank you, God. Together, thank you, God. So other than knowing what I wanted to do for a song to bring us into meditation, I very intentionally did not script this morning's presentation to you. Although I do have a little surprise video I'm going to play for you later that I shot yesterday, but it wasn't intended for this service, but it was just kind of a humorous, silly thing about coping with pandemic that I think you all might get a kick out of. But that aside, I just decided that I would be here with you, and that Spirit would feed me the right and perfect message. Some of you may just scratch your heads and go, I don't know what that boy's talking about. And, you know, if there's just one of you who feels touched by this or moved by this, then mission accomplished. The rest of you, you go ahead and check YouTube for cat videos or something. It'll be great. Sometimes I'm a smart ass, but you know, it's okay. It works for me. And it works for God too, most of the time. So about this place, we are living in a place that Laurie affectionately called Dragonfly Landing, and I thought that was an adorable name. She loves dragonflies, and I thought that was a clever name, Dragonfly Landing, as in they really are, they're landing all over the place, and so we went with that, and we actually established a business called Dragonfly Landing that is a combination of short-term rental and event space. So the overall indoor living quarters and operating quarters, because there's an office and studio, is about 4,500 square feet. It's just the two of us and our dog, so that's really absurd. And we have this oversized 3-car garage, and we live up over the garage, and yes, there is a butterfly zipping around my head, which is paradise. And we live in about probably 1,700 square feet up over the garage. And then down the base of the garage is my 400 square foot or so office and studio, where I do my writing and meetings and Zoom calls and typically video productions and all that sort of thing. And next door to that is the original farmhouse with an addition on it that is over 2,500 square feet with a big old-fashioned front porch hanging out over it. And it's got 3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, and just, it's enormous. The living room is huge. We can comfortably seat 40 to 50 people there, theater style. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. We have plenty of parking for everybody, so we can host concerts or services. We have posed the idea of weekend retreat workshops. And of course, just about the time that we were getting licensed and up and ready to go with all that stuff, the pandemic hit. So all those folks who are interested in hosting a workshop or a retreat kind of a thing here, just pulled in their horns and said, let's just wait and see, which is good common sense. So in the meantime, we were blessed to have a lovely lady who is a traveling nurse here testing for COVID. And she will be renting here along with another family member. And she'll be staying with us between 4 and 6 months. And so she's very comfortable, and she's gone during the day all week and is very quiet and easy to get along with when she is around, and we hardly see each other. So, God just has a way of taking care of things. Speaking of which, how we got here is really strange. There's, in New Thought or any discussion about the power of positive thinking, there's the part about you knowing and setting your intentions. And, there are people like me that have dream boards that, typically a moving target and evolving all the time. But, we set our goals, we set our intentions. And a lot of folks then just sit back and stare at the dream board or, just wait for that call, wait for God to just go ahead and provide. That's not how it works. Of course, the other side is there's people who work and strive and claw and paw and, going and grabbing for everything without the faith, without the dream, without the vision, without the trust in a higher power to lead them. So I like to think that the ideal circumstance for a happy life is to set your intentions, have your big dreams, and stay focused on them. And turn it over to God to some degree, but be sure that you're doing your part, doing all the work that it takes to get you where you want to be. And I think with that partnership with God / Spirit, whatever you call this higher power, and yourself, it's an unbeatable combination. So I was very interested in becoming a Unity minister. And there were some hurdles I felt I would need to jump that I was probably not willing to jump. And a dear friend of mine who is a Unity minister said, I would love to help you, and I would love to sponsor you. And one of the first things that I see you doing is going out to Cookeville. At the time we were living in Mount Juliet, which is just outside of Nashville. She said, I think you should go to Cookeville and be a guest speaker. Let them hear what you've got, and throw your hat in the ring, and let them know that you would like to be their spiritual leader. Once employed as spiritual leader, which basically is a polite term for a minister who has yet to be ordained, once in that role for 1 year, I would automatically be eligible to enter Unity's field licensing process, which is a lot easier and faster. I'm just loving these hummingbirds, just whipping all over the place. So it's beautiful. And so anyway, we did that. I came to Cookeville, and they invited me to come often. I was speaking here an average of once a month, and then it got bumped up to about twice a month, and I definitely, probably obnoxiously and boisterously let them know that I wanted the role as minister. Um, but there were some folks in charge that didn't feel comfortable taking on someone who was not yet ordained. And I have to respect that. Everybody has a different comfort level and a different tactic, and it didn't work for them. So they hired a really wonderful Unity ordained Unity minister who moved here and is doing a wonderful job. And she's just delightful and delivers a really powerful message. And she's a sweetheart. And so it all worked out. But during that process, we were hanging out in Cookeville. And we started really liking the town. Now, Laurie didn't quite like it enough to move. She was thoroughly on board with my becoming a minister and leading the church there and all. But the idea of giving up a home that we really loved in Mount Juliet and moving out here just didn't work for her. And I said, well, that's fine. Why don't we just take a look and see what kind of houses are around? And she agreed. You know, she's pretty adventurous. So we found a real estate agent who was, you know, just a sweetheart and very patient and kind, and showed us around and let us know what parts of town were good and get an idea of what we were looking for. And we looked at all kinds of houses, and little by little by little, Laurie saw herself moving to Cookeville if, and only if, we found the right and perfect place. After looking at a lot of different properties, I started getting this kooky idea that, well, what if, because at the time I was traveling a lot. I was on planes and running through airports, probably almost as much as I was home. So something that was important to Laurie was a sense of security and a sense of comfortable surroundings and neighbors that she could know and rely on and that kind of a thing. So I said, why don't we try to find something that has like a mother-in-law apartment, you know, or a two-family or a duplex. And it would serve a couple of purposes. One, it would give us some income, which would be nice, help us acquire the property and pay for the property. Two, it would give you somebody living right here, right nearby that, you know, you could feel like you'd holler to if you ever felt uncomfortable. And three, the day comes that your folks maybe want to move in and live right next door to us, that would be available to them. Also, that was the opportunity to point out that we would be moving considerably closer to our in-laws, to my in-laws, to her parents. And that was kind of the cincher right there. That idea made sense to her, and it made sense to me. And so in this particular property I read about online, and I came out on a Saturday and just drove around the neighborhood and scoped it all out to make sure that we weren't wasting this agent's time. And I didn't even set foot inside here. I had a hunch this was going to be home. And then on Sunday, which was Father's Day of 2019, the in-laws were visiting us out in Mount Juliet, and I invited them to stop here on their way home. So the four of us walked through the property, and were in awe of it. And we made an offer that worked for everyone, and then we went through the process of acquiring the mortgage and selling the other house and closing on this one, which had complications. And the timing was so weird that we actually stored everything that we owned in the garage here while we camped out in the part of the house that we didn't actually want to occupy. It was stressful, and it was crazy, and it was bonkers. But we did it. We got through it. And then after we were here, we kind of had more ideas about not just renting out that part of the house, you know, like it was like as an apartment full time and have a neighbor full time, but having a little bit more say, a little bit more control about who comes and goes. So that's why we decided not to go the Airbnb or VRBO or any of that kind of a thing. We wanted to have some say about who we have here. We wanted to be sure that we had like-minded people so that we could maintain our peace here. And by the way, Every single one of you watching this video is invited here. Just as soon as, the air is clear and things are sane again, we're going to have a gathering here. I hope it happens by fall because I want to call it O'Shaberfest. Now, for the record, Laurie is not on board. She thinks that that's kind of an ego-centered name. I think it's hilarious, but I tend to be a little self-serving and a little wacky with my ideas. So sometimes she has to corral me back in. That's why we're such a great yin-yang couple. Anyway, where was I? I think that this property, I wish I could convey to you how it feels to get up in the morning here, even on a work day, or it's a busy, crazy day, and I roll up those shades that we have, and I look out at this lawn. I look at the cows moseying around across the way in the field, and I look at the hummingbirds, and I look at my bird feeders with the critters coming and going, and I feel like that we're on vacation. I mean, we're just in paradise here, really. I've probably used that term too many times already, so my apologies if it's getting old, but here we are. And so early on in this experience, when I had to travel, some of you know I'm in the corporate world, in the piano industry, and my job requires me to basically be all over the United States for various reasons. And I would feel pretty darn sad about not getting my French vanilla coffee in the morning and running to the airport, which is about 75, 80 minutes away now, and leaving this beautiful place. I would look forward to coming back again, but it was really sad about leaving this place. And I was thinking, I wish there was a way that I could work here more. Huh. Be careful what you wish for. I haven't been on a plane since the end of January. And I have gotten as much or more work done than back when I was running all over the country. Don't get me wrong, I am looking forward to getting out again, getting back in the saddle and taking a trip here and there. But I also had the opportunity to get my wish, to get my intention, to see it come to fruition, and to find ways to be creative with video conferencing tools like Zoom and FaceTime and all these wonderful tools that we have at our disposal. I got to be pretty decent at editing video and lighting and sound and all of these things that I hadn't really honed my skills on just yet. And it all happened because of the pandemic. I'm not suggesting the whole pandemic came about just to benefit me. It didn't. But, we made lemonade out of lemons, right? As they say. And I think there's something good to be found in many circumstances. Those of us who've endured tragedies and traumas and stuff, would argue that every single circumstance is going to produce a joyous experience. But I think we could all agree that if we kind of roll out the whole plan for our lives ahead of us, that we can look at that map and say, oh my goodness, this traumatic experience, this negative experience led me to here, which connected me to this person who led me here and gave me this opportunity. And because this student was ready, that teacher appeared, and I seized the opportunity. And looking back, none of that could have happened if it weren't for this. Honestly, if if the Cookeville Unity Church had hired me at the very first opportunity they had, I may have expedited my search for Cookeville and ended up with a different home, a different property, a different circumstance, and not been the proprietor at Dragonfly Landing. What a shame that would be. So things tend to unfold for our highest and best. But it's important that we be in the mindset to allow that to occur. So, how about this? Let's make this lesson personal. Maybe you have a specific goal or intention set, and maybe you're just not quite sure what it is you need or you want yet, and that's okay too. But whatever's going on in your life, maybe you're seeking the right perfect mate, or better finances, or better health, or a better living situation. Whatever it is, see it, envision the improvement. Think about how you will feel when that day comes, how grateful you'll be. Bask yourself in that sensation of gratitude. And then get to work. If you want to lose weight, if you want to be healthier, then, don't be picking down the ice cream at 10 p.m. I can say that because I need to lose about 20 right here, and I'm going to, by the way. Go ahead and go for a walk. Do what it takes to get there. If your finances are out of whack or out of order, you've got to get a handle on your spending. You maybe need to part with some stuff. You maybe need to just have a yard sale and pare down. Maybe you need to find some better means of income, or a dog that doesn't bark while you're trying to do a video. See, I told you it would be imperfect. And how wonderful to know that the imperfect is so perfect. That's just music to my ears, actually. I'm going to, hi. I just love them. Oh, what a wonderful reason to be distracted. I sat here early this morning with my feet up, just gazing at that feeder, and they would come and go and come and go, and the feeder was getting low. I just filled it 2 days ago, and it was almost out, and one of the hummingbirds came over and kind of fluttered right in front of my face, and then back to the feeder, and then back to my face, almost as if to say, hey, get busy, fill this thing up. I think he knew who was feeding him or her. It's pretty cool. Getting back to the lesson. Think about what you want. Think about how you want to feel. Set those intentions. Bask yourself in gratitude, and then do the work. And trust. Oh, that's so hard. Oh, logically, you can set the intentions. And logically, you can ask for it to happen. And you can do all those steps. Let's say you're buying a home. You're going to apply for the mortgage, and you're going to get your finances in order. And you get all these logical steps. But that trust, actually let go. Let go and believe it's going to happen. That's hard. It's really hard. But you got to do it. Now, other people will just trust it's going to happen and then don't do anything. So it's, it's like a tripod. Do the work on one leg. Set your intentions, know where you want to go, what you want to get. And thirdly, the trust. I think with those three things in order, you got a nice solid footing. And the recipe for a happy life. I'm going to close with my video called Five Steps for Helping Get Through the Pandemic. I don't think that's exactly what it's called, but I think you all might get a kick out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out with that. Right now I'm going to bid you adieu. I especially am going to thank you. If you actually watched this long enough to take this all in, then you gave me a gift. I appreciate it. I hope I see you here one day at Dragonfly Landing. And if you want to check it out, by the way, we have a website. It's called dragonflylanding.org. .org, dragonflylanding.org. So check out some of the pictures and stuff. It's cool. In the meantime, know that I am holding the high watch for you, the right and perfect opportunities to present themselves for your lives. As my dear friend Reverend John McLean likes to say during his closing, all is well, life is good, and we are truly blessed. And so it is. Hey friends, Reverend Sean here. I want to talk to you about 5 ways you can help get through these weird times of this pandemic. It takes balls. So do you have the balls to get through this? Okay. If you are deeply offended and upset by my use of the term balls, I say with love and respect, get over it. I have a sense of humor, and God has a sense of humor. And this is probably one of the best times to find some things to laugh about. So, balls. B, believe. Know that there is a higher power. I call it God. Maybe you call it the universe, or Jesus, or Buddha, or, it doesn't matter. There's only one. And He's looking out for us. He has our backs. There is a power greater than us that's going to just make sure everything ultimately is okay. Allow yourself to feel what you feel. Conversely, allow other people, even the ones you don't agree with, to feel what they feel, to think what they think, even if you think it's wrong. We're all going to sort this out in a different manner. We need to be patient with each other. So allow yourself to feel what you feel and to think what you think, but allow others to do the same. L, learn. Get the facts, although that's becoming increasingly difficult to do because there are alternative facts out there being presented. One news source will say these are the facts of the pandemic, and another news source will say something that's a polar opposite. So I suggest we at least listen to medical doctors, to science, about how this disease is spread and how it is not spread, and what we can do to minimize our exposure, and especially our being the cause of exposure, because there are many people carrying this virus unknowingly and unintentionally spreading it to other people. So learn. The other L is for listen. Listen to your own heart. Maybe that means you need to just be still and know. And you can never go wrong with that move. Be still and know that it's okay, that you have all the tools and all the wisdom you're going to need to get through this. Listen to your own heart. Listen to God. And listen to your friends and your family and what they're going through. And think of ways that you can be of service and make things easier for them. And lastly, S, savor. Savor this time. It's a gift. Despite the challenges, despite the setbacks, despite the tragedies in some cases, this is a time to be savored. You will look back on this and remember good things if you allow yourself to take those things in right now and appreciate them. So I hope you have the balls to endure this pandemic.